You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, thank you for tuning back in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. I told you I had Stephen Lane calling, and I think I said Poplar Springs, but it's Powder Springs, Georgia. My wife corrected me, and that's where he calls from, and he writes columns, and he's what we call an automotive journalist. How are we doing this morning, Stephen?
Blunt-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I wish it was Poplar Springs because poplar sounds so much better in terms of flowers.
Well, I called it Poplar Springs. My wife corrected me. It says Powder Springs, Georgia. And I said, well, I'm glad he called. But we were talking, you wrote an article, well, I mentioned to you the other day about calling on here about you can get a better price on a car by the color of it. Maybe you want a newer model car and you're seeing cars out there that are, more expensive, but you see the same car, but it's a different color, but it's cheaper. And, that may be the way you want to go. Can you explain to why the reasoning is the price difference on the color of a car?
Sure. There are tastes that come and go with the ages. For example, there was a time when, way back in the Clinton era, that everybody loved to have forest green as a color for their vehicle.
Okay.
And you would have a lot of vehicles that were produced at that time with forest green. And unfortunately, as time went on, forest green became, it became passé. People didn't want to have green anymore.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is there ended up being a lot of green cars that were not sold, that were in what we call wholesale heaven. And wholesale heaven is a beautiful place where millions of cars go to relax. And wait to have a buyer. And they're at what are called dealer auctions, where dealers may or may not try to buy them. And it's not just green that has this issue. There's green, there's gold, there's gray. There are a lot of off colors that, they get fashionable for a while, and then all of a sudden they become unfashionable.
Oh, I didn't really think about that. I guess I remember growing up, 1950s, I think pink and black was a popular color. And they had a lot of cars pink and black. Then that got out of vogue, and now I think that's coming back in vogue again, pink and black, believe it or not. But you're telling me it's the same. It's something that's always been around on the color of cars, but just because it's a color that a lot of people like, but it gets out of fashion, and people just don't want to buy it anymore. So that's what
exactly. And there's also every once in a blue moon, there's also a type of color that an automaker may try and think that it's going to catch on with customers because it's unique in some way. In our world, we have Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi does this a lot.
Okay.
If you ever looked at that new, really small car that they have right now called the Mirage, they have these striking colors for it. They have hot pink. They have lime pie green. They have a blue that's deeper than any ocean.
Wow. And
it helps the car pop when it's at the dealership, when it's new. But as time goes on and that color fades and tastes move on to something different, those types of cars may sit around for a longer period of time.
That's true. They'll sit around and they'll probably go to that used car relaxation area you're talking about. So these cars that get out of vogue and fashion, how can you tell if it's out of vogue or fashion when you go to and you want to buy a car? What's a good telltale sign for someone who's looking to buy a used car to look for? Just for a car that is maybe a different color or something that's oddball or not as bright or not as shiny, maybe not red, blue, or black. Maybe that's it. I think those are the three killer colors out there. Everybody likes to buy red, blue, or black.
Well, there are a few things you can do without having to actually read people's minds.
Okay.
The first is you can actually look to see how long they've had the vehicle listed online. Some places, such as Craigslist, will actually show how long a vehicle has been posted online. So if you see that vehicle's been around for 2 or 3 months, then that vehicle probably is not having much traffic at this particular point. Another thing you can always do is some people clean their cars. Other people just simply live in them. But there are some people that will start cleaning their cars up a bit, and then they'll start getting them dirty again because they'll become disillusioned over the fact that, you have to go week after week after week. I want to do something else with my time. I don't have to clean my car again. So if the car looks a little bit lived in some cases, you'll find that also.
Okay, so that's a good sign. If it's for sale and it's been around on the market for a while, that's a good sign that maybe you can get a better price for it. And or if it's been cleaned up and now you see that it looks like it's been lived in for a while, not such cleaned anymore, that means it's taken a long time to sell as well. And those are two tales, I guess you might say, of being able to find one. That's buying it from the individual, not buying it from the car lot, correct? Is that what you're talking
Correct,
about?
but sometimes at the car lot, you'll actually see that they've taken that vehicle out. They've made that their own courtesy car for their own employees.
Okay.
And they'll have left behind some types of refuse behind. You'll see some nice big gulps. You'll see some nice candy wrappers.
All right.
And as a result of that, you'll get a souvenir when you go out for the test drive.
Never thought of it that way, but that's true because I have loaner cars here that we loan our customers and our employees sometimes use, but they're not for sale. They're just ones that we use for our customers. And I see what you're talking about. They don't always get cleaned up and pristine before the next customer gets to use them again because their car is messed up. We got to take care of their car. But colors of cars, you said, like what's a popular color right now? Not an unpopular color right now. If someone wanted to go buy a car and they want to get a good price on it, what would be a color car for them to look for that would be a little cheaper? Maybe a gray?
I think you nailed it right there.
Oh, okay.
I think gray is a very common color, especially over the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see a lot of them just pile up at this point. They were popular because, in my humble opinion at least, a lot of the European manufacturers started using them. A lot of the prestige European manufacturers such as Mercedes, Audi, they like having their top-of-the-line vehicles, their flagships, actually have that color. It seemed like almost every third Mercedes S-Class produced during the 2000s was a gray car, like a battleship gray.
Okay, so that's what's happening. There's been a glut of gray cars out there, and they're not selling because gray is not a popular color right now. So if you were looking for a good deal on a car, you'd make sure, one, that the maintenance is caught up on it, and two, and the maintenance is being taken care of, and maybe the possibility the color might be, if you had a color choice between a gray one, a white one, a red one, or a blue one, the gray one would probably be cheaper. Because
yes, in most cases, actually, it would end up being just a little bit cheaper. If it's from a dealer, it'll probably be substantially cheaper. I just got a Prius, a 2010 Prius, that typically goes for around $8,000 to $8,500 wholesale,
right,
for only $6,700. And the only real difference between that vehicle and the other vehicles at the auction was that it was an unfashionable dark gray. It was morbid. It was almost like it was as sad and depressing as an old Karen Carpenter song. It was that type of gray.
Oh boy, that does. So it was kind of that ugly gray, I guess, but still, that's a darn good price for a 2010 third generation Prius, and that's a darn good vehicle. So you own two Priuses, or had two Priuses at one time. You had a Generation 1, a Gen 1, a 2000 model, I believe, that your wife drove.
Yes, and that one was almost lime green. That one was almost the color of linoleum. So it followed the same exact pattern.
So you were able to buy a cheaper car, buy an ugly color. You know, it's kind of like if you want a good wife, marry an ugly wife. Is there a song out there? She'll stay with you all the time. I don't know if that's the case, but if you want to get a good car that you're going to get a good price on, buy an ugly-looking car. Maybe as far as the color, if that's not a big deal for you, because you'll knock thousands and thousands of dollars off the purchase price. If it's
it especially helps for folks who are not auto enthusiasts. It helps if you just need something to get from boring point A to boring point B. Have a boring color.
Yeah.
Have a boring car.
Yeah.
It works perfectly.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that at all, because to me, cars are nothing more than transportation, from point A to point B. But some people think of it as a extension of their life, and it's an extension of them. So they want to make sure that car is all tricked out and pretty and all that, and I guess that's okay too. But as you get a little older, you really don't care about that. That's my opinion about that. Now, we were talking about it earlier. Most people end up selling their cars because maintenance is coming due. I see that quite often. We got about 3 to 4 minutes left on that. I have customers come in all the time with 140, 150,000 miles on it. The car has a timing belt on it. The car looks beautiful. It's nice and clean. It's shiny and everything. And I look at it and I say, best that I can tell, no one's ever had this timing belt's ever been off. You've got the original fluids in it, the original antifreeze, original radiator. You've got all these things that need to be done to the vehicle. It's 10 years old, and they're wanting $2,000 over list price. You need to figure out if you can get them to knock that couple of $1,000s off, because you're going to put that kind of money into getting the maintenance brought up on a car. Is that what you see happen a lot, and people just buy on looks?
Yeah, and they sell on looks too. I think you bring out a very good point. A lot of folks simply buy with their eyes, and they also buy based on their belief that they made the right decision in the past they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is they assess not only the value of the vehicle, but their own sentimental value to it. And that can lead to a lot of unfortunate realities for that person. If you're selling, your car is going to sit. And if you're buying, you're going to often buy the wrong car.
So, geez, it's so true out there. I see people all the time out there that want to sell their cars, but they overprice them. And then, because they got all this maintenance that needs to be done on them, and then someone wants to buy them, they say, and they get it checked out by me or whatever, and I say, well, all these things need to be done to it. And they take it back, and the guy goes, well, I'm not going to sell it for that. I'll be giving it away. Well, if you keep that car, you're going to have to do this maintenance, or you're going to end up with a car that's not going to run. It's going to just be a yard ornament, and it's not going to be moving. So you got to do something about it. But sometimes I think people put too high a price on a car, especially if it needs a lot of maintenance on it. I see this quite often. They'll come in, it'll be a car only worth $5,000, but it have a $7,000 price tag on it, and it needs $2,500 worth of maintenance on it. And the customers just can't seem to understand why they gotta drop the price down. And I just explained to them, I said, you don't have to drop it down. You're just not going to be able to sell it unless you do the maintenance for the customer or give them a better price break on the car, because that price you're selling it should be with the maintenance done. But as I both know, that's not what happens in most cases when you buy a used car.
That's correct. Oftentimes, though, you can also get a premium on a vehicle if you've done recent maintenance on it and you actually discuss it in your ad. One vehicle that I just got recently, actually yesterday, was a Honda Civic. And I paid all the money in the world for this vehicle. It was an 02 Honda Civic with 109K. And I paid $2,800 plus $240 auction fee. I paid all the money in the world for it. And it's still going to need, I just replaced the windshield on it. I have to move cars quick. So 3 hours after I get it, I replace the windshield on it. And I'm also going to replace the wheel bearing and an inner tie rod. And once all that's done, okay, I'm going to have like $3,300 in this thing. But I'll be able to sell it probably for around, $3,800, $3,900. And the reason why I'm going to be able to sell it that way is because it will be the only one online that will have all the maintenance done on it, and they will see that, okay, he's done the timing belt's been done, it's had a tune-up, it's been regularly well maintained, he made sure everything was picture perfect on it, it's immaculate, it's in mint condition. And folks out there, many of them, especially if they're looking for a popular brand, they're willing to pay a $500, $600 premium if they get something that needs nothing. That's a huge deal for many, many people.
That is so true. Stephen, thank you so much for your wisdom about buying used cars. We look forward to talking to you again next week. And you always give a wealth of information about what to look for, what to avoid on cars out there. And we'll talk to you again. And if they want to reach you, how can they get up with you? What's your email address?
Email is very simple, carselect@gmail.com.
carselect@gmail.com. All right, everybody. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
James Auto Center, we fix it right.